Now let's talk about the different component that is involved on a commercial lease. If you're a new investor or want to start getting into commercial real estate, some of the components and parts that are included on a rental lease and commercial property is much different than residential lease because it's less regulated. Plus, you want to have a really good real estate attorney who draw up a commercial lease because it can change from building to building. It varies depending on locations, where the building is and what the custom is in the area, and what actually tenant landlords are willing to custom to receive and do and pay in different buildings and different locations. When you're renting a commercial space to a tenant, there are multiple things you can do. One, you can actually have a lease where the tenant just pay the lease and the landlord covers for all the expenses. You can do that. You can have your attorney to draw up a lease with a type of language that includes everything that is included. Something else you can do is you can actually have the tenant to pay for some of the expenses, like property taxes. Normally on a residential lease, the tenant actually don't pay for the property taxes. That's included with the rent as a norm. But on commercial lease, it's not uncommon to have the tenant to pay a percentage of the property taxes, or if what the tenant is renting is the entire building, you can have a lease draw up in a way where the tenant pay for the base rent plus the property taxes. In commercial, normally you also have to pay sales tax, and there's confusion in this one too. Sales tax is one type of expense and real estate tax is another type of expense, and you can have a tenant to pay for both, for a percentage of the total of the property real estate tax plus a sales tax based on the base rent. You also heard of the camp and common area. That includes the garbage, the water, cleaning the sidewalk, the electricity for the common area. If you have a commercial property that you want to lease and it has multiple spaces, it's an office building or a shopping center, and you have a crew that come in and clean the parking lot and all the sidewalk for the entire building or for the entire shopping center, you can divide the expense to do that for each of the tenant. And one of the ways that is done, that you calculate how much the expenses will come at when you divide it by the square footage. Depending on the size of each space that you're renting, you divide it by square footage. Once you have a set amount, let's say is $4 per square foot, the total of all the cleaning, the decorations, the maintenance, and the upkeep for all the common areas. And then if the space is 2,000 square foot, so you take the $4 times the 2,000, and that will give you the total for the year. Then you still have to divide that by 12 months, and that will give you your monthly proration portion the tenant has to pay. So the tenant will pay, in this example, for the what is called the base rent, which is the rent amount, plus percentage of the camp or the common area maintenance, which is for the in this example, the $4 per square foot for the cleaning and upkeep for the sidewalk and et cetera, et cetera. You can also add electricity. Some of the stuff that you can add are the bathroom care. If you have common bathroom, elevators, hallways, lawn care, tree care, snow removal, sidewalk. As we talk utilities, you can actually separate that as well. Decoration for, let's say, for Christmas or different time, if you do decoration and you pay a crew, and you pay for lighting and you pay for people to hang stuff around the place, the cost of doing that to beautify the place and make it more attractive during the holiday, that will benefit the tenant business. so you can pass that cost also to the tenant. The different type of leases that you can draw up. You can have, for example, what is called the gross lease, which is the full service lease, including everything. You can also have the net lease, which that is where things start separating and you need to see what's unique about your property and your building, isolate and charge to the tenant, because it could be net of electricity, the lease, the base rent, plus net of electricity, or net of the garbage, of net of the real estate taxes, and so on. You can ask for some of those or all of those for the tenant to pay. That's why you hear sometimes a triple net lease or the absolute triple net lease as well, where the tenant pays for everything in the building. You also have modified gross lease, modified net lease also. Those are different titles that are given depend on whether the tenant pay for some of the expenses, all of the expenses, part of it, or none, and everything is included with the rent. Now, if you ask yourself, what would a tenant pay for the rent plus all of the expenses? They might as well buy the building. Not for everybody, because different businesses have different goals. When you buy a property, now you need the money and the finances, if necessary, to acquire the entire property, and you have to manage all those payments. That can actually limit the money you will have to grow your business and to open up multiple locations in different places. For the cost of buying a shopping center, or buying an office building, or buying a property, a commercial space, a business can actually use that money to open up the business, fill it up with all the equipment and everything they need to operate, and have working capital until the business is up and running and become profitable long term. If the person buys the property that is going to start operating and is going to require a whole lot more funds to get those things in place, and that is not feasible for a lot of business owner, or a lot of time it doesn't make any sense for them. So that's why in commercial real estate there is not one size fits all formula for every single thing. Each situation, each business is unique, each building is unique, and each building in different area is also unique. So you need to identify which one are the expenses that make sense to pass it on the tenant, and you think that you can still rent the property for a good amount and still have a very healthy, good long-term tenant there that will rent your property and stay with you, opposed to asking for way too much, but then your property just stay vacant for a long time, and at the end of the day you're just losing money if you do that. So it's a delicate balance, and it's part of the joy of being an investor, a business owner. My name is Christopher Raimundo from Realty Partners. Hopefully this was really educational for you.